Greetings, friends, and welcome to my next 2x4 project. Today, instead of building a signpost, which I built last time, we're going to be building a lamppost. But right off the bat, if you haven't watched my signpost video, go watch it because I go into a lot more detail on certain parts of what goes on here that I may not touch on in this video because I don't want to repeat too much. And, they're really similar builds and how we go through it. Now, you'll see that this time, instead of doing a fluted column, which I did with the signpost, I decided to have some real fun. And I'm going and making the post look like bones. So it'll come up to here. Now, this cut here is a 45-degree angle. It's really hard to do when I'm without the camera. It's a 45-degree angle cut to allow another board to intersect with it. And you can see here, the same cut as here. Now, the reason why I'm going with this design is because when these two go together, let's see if I can actually pull it off with one hand. Oh, probably not. Anyways, when they're together, you can see that the height gets a lot higher than your typical. You can do like a signpost, like what I did with the signpost out there, as a horizontal, but this allows you to get more height, so when you put a lantern on, you don't have people walking by and drilling it with their hand, where if they hit the sign, it's not that big of a deal, but hitting more of the fancy lamps doesn't work too well. Now, what's cool about this one is because of the strength of the wood we're using, I'm trying to make a little bit of room here, the strength of the wood we're using, we can really come down in terms of thickness on how we make these bones. Because there's so much strength in this wood naturally, the chances of breaking it by hanging anything, you don't want to hang off of it yourself, but to hang a lantern off of it, man, it'll be able to take a whole bunch of wood so you can have a bit of fun. Now here, I am making it where there's a second piece that goes here, and then a third piece. This is all professional, but you know what? We're all along for the ride. Third piece goes there. Now, I'm going to be cutting these down before I glue them because I don't want to run into and hit nails and screws. I'm going to be actually screwing through here into there, and I'm going to be screwing from here through into there to get this all strengthened up. And what's cool is this becomes the angle that goes up, and then the lantern hangs off the bottom of here. Now, this is all done freehand. I can try to do a template, but you can see what I've done here. It really is just draw bones. It's the concept, I think, that's the more of what you're going to do. If there's enough requests, I'll build a template and I'll redraw this so you have an exact template to copy this. But regardless, the drawing will be here for the length of these boards, this board, and all the other stuff that that's pretty important. Anyways, I'm going to go get these cut down and we'll start to discuss how we're going to go about making these finished. Once you have this all cut out, you have the option of rounding off the edges. I suggest you do a tiny bit of rounding, even with a sander, so you don't have that hard edge. Doing it more round, you'll get a better effect if you go further. So this here is just the straight bandsaw cut or the jigsaw cut. And here you can see that I've got this small ridge in the middle after I used this rounded router bit. Or it's not plugged in. And you can see right at the bottom where the bearing meets the actual, that's where that gap comes from. So you have the option of then taking it and sanding that off or leaving it. The only person who's going to really notice it's going to be you. Now, the amount of detail you can go into here is 100% up to you. Oh, and if you don't have a router, you can also use a draw file to do a lot of these curves. The amount of detail you go into is up to you and what tools you have available. If you don't have anything beyond like a spindle sand or like a sander, you probably don't want to go into the detail I'm going to show you next. Okay. Now, once you take it through, so I used my spindle sander to bring this all down to be a bit more round. And what is really cool is it looks like a bone the more round you go. Now, I also used the spindle sander to, take these joints down a bit. And here again, I use the spindle sander to bring down the joint. Now, these are the pieces that I showed you before that goes in, and all I did is I turned each one of them into a bone. I used wood glue to initially attach it here, and once the glue has set, because this is a big one, I then drilled into the back, and I used a deck screw to go right through to hold this together. And it'll be more than enough, even if the glue gets water in it. Those screws should be enough to hold all of this in place really well. And how much you want to go and do on these bones to make them look like bones is up to you. But yeah, have fun. You can deviate the surfaces on them as much as you want. I'm going to go through now. I'm going to go do the same thing I did with this one on this one, but since it's 8 feet, it's a pain in my butt to move around my spindle sander. So we're going to see how that goes. Anyways, see you in a few. All right, we are now all stained up. Well, stained in the rough sense of the word. This is done with using the tea and then the vinegar and steel wool solution. I did a whole video about it up here. It's just such a great way of finishing off wood for Halloween props because it grays them out beautifully. Like you can see here where I was testing just how good that looks. That was just with the tea, and then you can actually see where I hit the tea too, and then when I did the stain, just on how much it changes the whole thing, and it really grays out the wood beautifully. Anyways, so I've done the whole thing here. Now on the previous sign I used a chain link and drove it up into here. This does not have the strength for you to be hammering up. Well, if you clamp this, you might, but nah, save yourself some trouble. I just got one of these eye hooks, opened it up, dropped the chain in, pre-drilled that a little bit, and then just screwed this in. That way, you know, you've got something to hang your actual lantern from. Now, at this stage, you can start doing however you want. I've got to go drill in the bolt to hold it all together. And then after that, I'm going to do some decoration with some extra chain and some creepy cloth. Anyways, I'm going to get that done, and I'll come back and talk to you about all the little things that I did like I normally do. Anyways, now we decorated up. So right off the bat, all this stuff is from the dollar store. This is just some of that rope that you can buy in packages. I took it, I dipped it in this morning's coffee grounds, so it's still wet, and then just wrapped it around to give it that appearance like it's being held together by that and not the big bolt that's hiding underneath it. Now, this is just, you know, your typical creepy cloth, and I used a whole bunch of black twist ties to hold everything in place. Or I pull it through here, which I did here, but you can see all the black twist ties holding everything together all the way up. Now here, you'll see that I've got one of these chains sitting underneath just because it looks cool. Do I need any further explanation other than that? And then finally you come up to the lantern. This is going to attach to said lantern right here. I just haven't done it yet. Now this lantern is pretty cool. It's my latest 3D printing design, and I've been working my butt off on this. I'll be putting that up as a separate video soon. But yeah, if you got a 3D printer, this is an awesome lantern. I'm not patting myself on the back, but you got to admit, that thing has got such an awesome look to it. Yes, personal, shameless plug, but it's mine. I'm allowed to. Anyways, so now I'm going to get this done, and we're going to go stick it into the same hard point that the old sign was in. Anyways, I'm going to get that done, and I will see you in a few. Thus finishes the gorgeous lamppost. It actually is better viewed from the other side, but the sun is behind me, and it's actually ruined this once for me trying to record what it looks like when it's all done. But regardless, you can see just how everything comes together and just looks so cool as a lamppost. And it's big. Like, you really have to back up to get a really good idea just of how high that thing sits off of the ground. And it is so useful. I've got the light running inside of the lamp right now, and you can see just how high I've got to reach. Like, I'm at full reach there just to get to the lantern. Still means somebody could smack it, but hey, let's hope they don't. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a really fun and unexpected project. I really like how that bone works as the wood, even with that aging on it. It's just perfect. And the chain, I just really like how it all comes together. Regardless, thanks so much for hanging out, and thanks to my subscribers, my viewers, my neighbor's barking dog, and my patrons. You guys are all awesome, and thanks for tuning into these videos. for the very end, I'm going to flip it vertical so you can see the whole lamppost all together. And hopefully when it gets a bit darker, I'm going to be able to take one more photo there. Anyways, have a good one all.